This is Ghana. Something that has become more and more familiar to me looking at these maps is these reservoirs. You can tell they are reservoirs because of the way the water is backing up into the little mountains and into the ridges. This is not a natural picture that we are seeing here, and it is in fact one of the largest artificial lakes in the world. Um, its entire name is Lake Volta, the largest, indeed the largest artificial reservoir in the world based on surface area, contained behind the Akosombo Dam, which generates a substantial amount of Ghana's electricity, a lot of which is used for the smelting industry. Aluminum smelting was one of the original ideas, actually, as to why that dam was created in the first place. During the British colonial period 1915, to exploit the river's energy for smelting locally sourced bauxite. That's when the idea was initially conceived. Um, Something much more interesting is happening in Ghana at the moment, and this reservoir is a little bit of a telltale sign. There's a lot of water in this reservoir right now due to unusual climate patterns, more rain than normal, and that has affected the cocoa bean, which is a bit of a random topic, but it's actually quite an important part of the economy, I suppose, in Ghana in general. The cocoa bean, something that we all use for chocolate, we all eat basically every day if you eat chocolate every day. Um, and chocolate prices have been rising due to cocoa. It is actually, I read a little bit today on a different news article related to cocoa and its prices in general, how much the price of cocoa has skyrocketed. I do have a graph here from tradingeconomics.com. This is the last 10 years of cocoa prices. We start to the left here at about 3,000 per ton in dollars, and we had a spike if we go back to maybe, let's say, the last year, where we were still coming in at, yeah, what's that, 3,600, 4,000, and then a massive spike here in 2024 starting in February, peaking at 12,000 and now settling at around 8,000. That is a very dramatic increase, and it will be reflected in prices for chocolate products all around the world. Things like a brownie, which would have once cost €3 in Ireland, are now going to cost €5. That's something I read in an article earlier on today. This is a very a big deal for chocolate. I mean, a lot of people use it and eat chocolate, and this is not like a normal cost of living inflation increase. This is again on top of all of that, another increase. Apparently, the very big companies are buying up all the cocoa that's left. It's making it very hard for artisan producers and people like that to produce a product at a reasonable price. Something to keep in mind if you think your chocolate products have gone up lately in the shops that you're buying them from. Ghana is the world's second largest producer of cocoa. The Ivory Coast is the world's largest, I believe, the country here to the west. And indeed, they are also facing issues as well. There's the Ivory Coast. We're looking at Ghana today. Ghana's economy is actually quite robust compared to some of its neighbors. If we look at the economy statistics here, let's jump into here. Um, Ghana is Africa's largest gold producer, which is actually in itself quite interesting, overtaking South Africa. Of course, South Africa is having a few issues in its economy in general. I made a video on that before. The second largest cocoa producer, rich in diamonds, manganese ore, bauxite, which is the product for aluminum, and oil. Some of the oil off the coast of Ghana. They were actually looking to build a another refinery in this city here, Sekondi Takoradi, I believe. And there's some pictures of some oil rigs going out to sea that I saw earlier on as well. We can't actually see any oil rigs from this particular map, unfortunately, a little bit too close to the shore. But there is a big harbour here, which is used to, I'm pretty sure, to maintain those oil rigs. Lots of big ships there, and so on and so forth. I might look for very quickly for some gold mines in Ghana, if you bear with me. This is actually one of the hydro dams on that massive Volta River and Volta Lake site. This is the bigger one, and these are the floodgates. Before we look at the gold, let's we look at this. These are the floodgates where the water at the moment is pouring out because of that high amount of rain, according to the Wikipedia article that I have been reading. We might actually quickly take a look at that. We jump to it here. This is the dam itself. I think there's a picture. The dam itself with the open spillways. If we go to the electricity one, there was kind of a more up-to-date fact here. Built on the Volta River in 1965, and it's spilling water through 6 floodgates because of the all-time high water level. Again, all this connected to the change in the climate and thus affecting the cocoa bean. The actual problem with the cocoa bean is that it's rotting. Cocoa bean rot. If we type that in here to give more visual, bean rot in Ghana, might get some images on that. Well, that was a pretty big statistic, 81%. Yeah, there we go, kind of black and pretty much ruined, quite nasty looking. A major cocoa producing region in Ghana, the world's second largest cocoa grower, is 81% infected with swollen shoot disease, according to this crowd. Okay, that's actually even a different disease again. But yeah, cocoa belt rotting from downpours and disease, pushing futures to 46 high. There was something else in the news. If I look at some of these news ones, sorry for jumping around a bit. I know it's a little bit chaotic today in particular. There was something here about, yeah, traders face 1 billion loss on faltering Ghana cocoa supply. Chocolate prices keep rising as West Africa's cocoa crisis deepens. Again, Ghana and Ivory Coast mentioned there. It's just a very interesting story, and I don't know if many people know about this. I only heard about it today myself. Okay, let's not press that. Let's go here. Cocoa crisis. Ghana's output almost halves. Rampant disease decimating the world's second biggest supplier of cocoa. Um, Ghana's cocoa farmers lament low earnings amid high prices, so on and so forth. Um, yeah, not a good thing for the local farmers, of course. I mean, here are the products that you get when you Google cocoa itself from Ghana. Various products, various prices as well. You see here, this is 28 euros a kilo. That's probably the cheaper one I saw. That's 40 euros a kilo there. Um, Basically, all a lot higher, at least double what they were a short while ago. Let's close that tab as well. Here are some nice pictures of Ghana, just to also do a little bit on the tourism. This is, I thought, was pretty beautiful on the coast, kind of like a castle of some description. Freedom and Justice, 1957, signed there. I think it was one of the first colonial countries to actually gain independence. Let's see here. If we type in independence, transition to independence in 1947, called for self-government. The party initiated a positive action campaign, so on and so forth. Yeah. Basically becoming independent as well. I wish I had read through that a little bit earlier, but actually I wanted to focus on the cocoa, so I'm going to actually stick with that for another moment. If we look at here, oh yeah, I wanted to focus on the poverty. That's actually what I wanted to focus on in relation to the cocoa. Apparently, if we look at the cocoa industry itself, a lot of the cocoa beans, again, as they expected, a lot of the money doesn't go back to the farmers themselves. A lot of it is actually involving child labor as well. All cocoa, except that which is smuggled out of the country, is sold at fixed prices to the Cocoa Marketing Board. Although most cocoa production is carried out by peasant farmers on plots of less than 3 hectares, a small number of farmers appear to dominate the trade. Some studies show that about 1/4 of all cocoa farmers receive just over half the total income, so not really a very fair setup there. With some 2 million children involved in the farming of cocoa in West Africa, primarily Ghana, Ivory Coast, child slavery and trafficking are major concerns in 2018. It's a very sombering and sad thing to hear as well. However, international attempts to improve conditions for children are failing because of persistent poverty, no schooling, things like that. Yeah, there's some history about here about how the production has gone up and down. There was a peak of 450,000 tons, but that's kind of been fairly volatile over time in general. Looking at this kind of poverty level, so Ghana actually isn't the poorest country in this region. It's actually quite okay relatively for the poverty level compared to its nearest neighbors. Population below the poverty line, 23% in 2016. Compared it to Burkina Faso, that's how you pronounce it. Yeah, Burkina Faso. Remember that number 23% here? It's 40%, so it's double. 43% live on less than $1.90 a day. In contrast to 30% living on $3.20 a day in Ghana. So relatively better off, I would see from that particular statement there. In terms of export goods, quite a rich variety of goods here in the economy. Fuels, which includes oil due to its oil. Overall, its oil production isn't actually as big as places like Nigeria. If we look quickly at this energy map here, production 0.3 quadrillion BTUs, consumption 0.2. Quite a bit of hydro production there as well. They basically use everything that they produce. A little bit of gas there as well. But still, this is quite significant. I mean, they basically produce what they use. That's pretty cool. It's like a so self-sustaining situation. Now, they have their own refinery as well, so that should actually be quite good for the economy, you would think. I'm just highlighting this map here again to show that Nigeria is producing a lot more at 4.4. Probably still below what they should be producing if they were a bit more efficient. But still, it's great to have their own supplies. Let's see the other things here. Gems, precious metals, cocoa, fruits, nuts, ores, slag, ash, rubber. Rubber's also one there. We saw that in the Liberia video. Indeed. Let's see, what else do we have left to quickly scan through here? That's the dam itself, another picture of the dam. And that's that there. This is the oil refinery, which I thought would look pretty cool in itself. Here is one of the massive sprawling mines. This is a gold mine, I believe, Tarara mine. I've turned on the label for a second. We might see something there. Tarkwa, I should say. And just to the north here, another mine as well. Again, very extensive, massive tailing dam there, pond. Huge operation. I'm not going to dwell too long on it because today is really about the cocoa, but I also wanted to highlight just the diversity in the economy in Ghana is actually relatively impressive, and I'm actually quite pleased to see it. It is nice to see economies that are more diversified than other places where they're literally going to be falling prey to Dutch disease if they're just relying just on oil. But yeah, overall, in Ghana, it's been a pretty interesting little thing to look through. Again, just highlighting that problem with the cocoa, and hopefully that gets at some point resolved. And really, it's quite difficult. It's purely dependent on the climate. They need, I suppose, a more robust crop, and maybe they can breed that. But to be honest, when you're having so much rainfall and stuff, that's really hard to combat just by growing a new strain of cocoa plant.